Good morning, everybody. I'm your instructor online again today. I'm so sorry I'm not here, but this is what you're going to be doing. So first thing, after you watch this video, I wanted to have you guys just review the tasks from yesterday. And so yesterday you were supposed to prepare for today's discussion. I went through this in the video, so if you missed that, it's right here. But today we are going to get started with the discussion. So in order to be ready, you are supposed to have the top section of your roll sheet completed. Let's just hop over there real quick. Okay, so once again, this is what you need to have out. Okay, and you were supposed to have chosen one of the roles from the Lit Circle instructions, and each of you are going to play a role in the discussion today. Okay, so today's task is the guided discussion. It really should take you guys about 30 minutes. So I put that on here, and we're going to go through what you need to do for those 30 minutes. It can be a little tricky to fill that time, but I want to encourage you guys to really dig into each person's task. So if you think about it, most of you have 3 people in your group. Okay, it'll take you a few minutes to get ready, but I would say each person should take 5 to 7 minutes on their role. And that's not that person talking the whole time. It's people talking about the questions and answers and digging into the text with what you have found. Okay, so it should take you about 30 minutes. And I've blocked that time to make sure you've got that to do it. And then at the end of the class, you're going to go back to your roll sheet, and you're going to respond to the question that you have, again, from your role, designated role. There's one that's distinct for each role. And then everybody is also going to write a brief summary of what your group discussed, what conclusions you came to, and what questions your group still has. Okay, so that's the task that's actually going to get completed after, and needs to be turned in for homework. Okay, so let's go over to the discussion circle instructions. So this is how it's set up. Usually in the group there is a discussion director. Now it's okay to me if nobody chose that as their role, but really the first step is just to kind of summarize the reading. And you guys could do that together if you didn't choose somebody to be the discussion director. What did you guys read? What was that segment about? Give a brief summary of everything that's captured in that section of the text. Okay, and then there's time for clarifying questions. Maybe there's something that you guys found confusing, or something that was really of interest that you want to talk about as a group before you jump into the specific parts of the roles. Okay, so the third part here, so each person shares the key point of his or her prep work. Okay, so key points, meaning you want to, again, explain, I was the bias finder, and so part of my task was to go through and look for wherever the author was inserting his own opinions. Maybe didn't say it directly, but you could really tell that this particular person had a leaning, a bias in one direction. Okay, so you're going to go through those details that you found. Okay, so let's look at the bias detector just as an example. Again, I'm going to go to page 6, I think is where we are. Okay, so if you were the bias detector, but bias finder, sorry, you were supposed to be looking for examples of bias, looking for signs of biases in the author and in the statements of any key people quoted in the reading. And this is an interesting part I wanted to highlight because some of your texts, they are like, those of you who are reading Salt, Sugar, Fat, the opening couple chapters describe one of the CEOs, Benke is his name, from Pillsbury, and he kind of moved around a couple jobs. And then it goes through his presentation, right? So you're actually looking at informational text within an informational text. So that would be an area to look for bias as well. Okay, so again, your questions were: make a list of the assumptions the author seems to be making, provide text details for these assumptions. Find 2 or more examples of bias in the reading, either the authors or quoted persons. Explain using text evidence how you know this author or person is biased in this way. And then determine how trustworthy the author is. Do you believe the author despite his or her biases? How objective can this author be? How persuasive? How does the trustworthiness of the quoted persons affect the trustworthiness of the author? And that question could actually be a really good transition question to go into if anybody chose the next role, which is the rhetorician, because the third one is about an appeal to ethos, right? The reader's sense that the author is credible, okay? And you may want to start with that question if you want to go from bias finder to rhetorician to talk about, that same thing. What did this person find, and what did the other person in your group find? Because that's really where you're engaging the text on this level, okay? So you're noticing already, hopefully, that we're not just talking about our opinions of the book, but we're doing a structured, guided discussion of what you found regarding these different elements of analyzing a nonfiction text. Okay, so back to the instructions here. Where am I? Sorry, wrong one. Hold on, where did I go? Okay, here we are. Okay, so what I was talking about was number 3. Each person shares the key points of his or her prep work. Now the fourth one here, I'm going to just leave this kind of up to you guys. You may want to just spend that time talking about each group member's role and do an extended amount of time, or you could do the highlighting of the roles first and then discuss what's called the FAT, or the interpretive question. So what we just looked at with the bias finder, that's really interpretive, right? So you could kind of jump from a more glazed over kind of review of everything and then go into interpretation, okay? So I'm going to leave that up to you. You do have 30 minutes, obviously, so this is sort of the structure that's recommended. Okay, then afterwards, you're going to write your individual reflection for your role, which includes a summary of the discussion's main points. You're going to decide on a group question and conclusion. So that's actually the second one is the conclusions. You're going to talk together how you deduced, what did you learn from this time, summarize what you guys talked about. That would be what number 2 refers to, okay? And then you would set a group goal for improvement for the next circle. This part here we're not going to do because we're not actually sharing out today, but you guys are going to do this in writing, okay? So take these questions, summarize those into your 2 after the nonfiction circle questions that you need to write about. Okay, and then after your meeting, you're going to go back to your roll sheet, you're going to complete that, and then you're going to be turning that in before class tomorrow. Okay? Have a great day, you guys, and I will see you soon.